Hey, this is Mr. V doing a book review today for The Bassoon King by Rainn Wilson. The book The Bassoon King is an autobiography about Rainn Wilson, written by Rainn Wilson. Before you consider reading this book, I would say you definitely want to know who Rainn Wilson is, and you also want to be a fan of the TV show The Office, as that is where Rainn Wilson got his big break. So you want to be a fan of it. You don't want to just know of The Office. I'd say you also want to be a fan to enjoy it a lot more. But let me get into my review and my thoughts on the book. So, I thought this was a very fun autobiography, as I am a fan of the show. And he's very funny in this autobiography because he just starts really funny. Like, even right from the beginning, the special thanks he gives a lot of funny thanks. Like, he gives some real special thanks, but then he also throws in little funny lines in there. Like, a line in there that he wrote down was that he's like, thank you for buying the book and double thanks if you actually finish it. And he just adds funny lines like that, and there's funny lines throughout the whole book. And he even makes fun of himself. And again, the book has a lot of seriousness in it, but it is nice when he does add some humor into the book. So, that was a lot of fun about it. But as I said, you definitely want to know The Office. And I say again, you want to be a fan of The Office. The reason is because even the foreword to the book is by Dwight Schrute. And Dwight, for those of you who know The Office, that's his character on The Office. So, and it's the way he does it and the way he does the forward is actually like Dwight. It would be the terms Dwight would use and things like that, to where it makes it really funny and it makes it entertaining. But there again, that's why I stress that you want to be a fan of the show, because that's what makes it really funny. And I had the audio book of it, so that also made it funny, because in the audio version he actually changed his tones slightly to make it sound exactly like Dwight. So that was very funny. But what was also cool about this book in terms of The Office was that he devoted some chapters to The Office, and he devoted many things. He gives a lot of little fun facts about the show, but he also for the fun fact, and an example is he auditioned to play Michael and Dwight, and he fit Dwight a lot better. But it's he also talks about things like the American version versus the British version, and what people's thoughts were, and remaking it, things like that. And then he also, in terms of The Office, he described what it was like filming The Office, and he talks about some of the writers and what they did to make different shows, and his relations with his co-actors, things like that. And there was just many fun things he talked about in The Office, about different ad libs and all that kind of stuff. And that's why, if you're a fan of the show, he gives many insights, which are a lot of fun. And that's what made the book a lot of fun. But it wasn't just that, because The Office actually only makes up a small part of Rainn Wilson's life. So while he devotes chapters to The Office, the overall book, his autobiography, is about Rainn Wilson and his life. And he basically goes almost in chronological order. There are times where he would kind of move around and then come back. But it's a very interesting read, just because, it's still very interesting just because Rainn Wilson had a pretty weird life. A lot of odd things happened in his life, and that's what made it very interesting. Because he talks about his life growing up, and how his family, why they had moved from Seattle to Nicaragua and then back, and what some of the things like some of the pets they owned, and some of the pets that his family owned were very unusual, and the description of his family and what his family was like. And I would say that he was pretty tough when describing his family, and I'd say very truthful, but very tough on them. And it did definitely add some humor to it, but he was definitely critical of his family. But again, he still added humor. One of my favorite lines when he was talking about his family was, he was saying my parents named me Rainn and added an extra N for no reason. And he would just say lines like that, which were to me were very comical. But as I said, it was basically, just his life growing up. Like I said, is when he was younger, but even when he got to like high school, and like it shows in the book, and he goes in greater depth, but like how he was kind of this like nerd or geek that was in many different clubs, and he talks about the different types of games he played, the shows that he liked, and coincidentally, a lot of the stuff that he did was similar to the character of Dwight. Rainn Wilson is not weird like Dwight was, but they had many similarities, and maybe that's a reason that he fit Dwight so well because he already knew of those shows, knew of the type of clubs he would have joined, things like that. And, it was a lot of fun reading it because he goes through time he was a kid, through high school, and then when he was in his 20s and his 30s. And at that point, his life of trying to make it as an actor. And, those are always fascinating to me because you see the type of schools that he went to for acting schools and the type of classes he took and what happened, and then how he was in different plays and what had happened during it because, things don't always run so smoothly when you're trying to become an actor, and just how he had to keep switching from different jobs and there was no money, and yet he still liked to party. And, he just goes through all that stuff when he was trying to become an actor. And what made it especially interesting was that he was very honest about the unethical things he did. He was very honest about it. And that's what made the story somewhat fun. He didn't try to make himself out to be like that he was this all nice guy or whatever. He talked about some of the things that happened. So, I thought that was great because it really gave you a better picture of who he is as a person. And then he goes into, as I had commented earlier, about his work on The Office, so that was also a lot of fun. And I would say in the overall book, you kind of get a picture of who Rainn Wilson is, and you get a view on like his things, on many things he is on, what he feels about different things in life. And he comments on many different things in life, and you see what his views are, and you can just tell that he has great passion for whatever he devotes himself to in life. And, I thought that was really cool, reading about some of those stories. But some of the things that I did not like, there's only a few things I did not like, but some of the things I did not like was that there were like random articles between some of the chapters, just in the beginning, but between some of the chapters that were written by Dwight. And again, Dwight is his character on The Office, and they're written by Dwight, and you could tell they're humorous. The only problem was that I didn't find them funny because the stuff that he was writing about were things that I couldn't connect with. Like Rainn Wilson was talking about his life, so when he was writing the stuff by Dwight, he would write stuff like who the best sidekicks of the 1970s shows were, or the best albums of the 1980s. And, those were things that I couldn't relate to. So that, to me, it felt more like of a drag because I couldn't relate to it. Now, there will be people out there who can. So, that will be great. But for me, that was just one area I didn't like. And then another area that I didn't like of the book was that there were some parts I felt he went too in depth. Because, like, he gives, like, the thanks to different people that influenced him while growing up, whether it be friends or actors. And he says why he did, like why he's giving thanks to those people throughout the book, and he keeps it fairly short. But to me, it was pretty boring. And I think it was over a chapter. It was a pretty long chapter. And to me, it was pretty boring. I still read the whole thing. But to me, that was pretty boring. And you kind of look at that as like a good and a bad thing. Like, it was good that he was thanking those people and you could see the impact they had, which had some minor interest in there. But it was kind of a drag at times. And that's where sometimes he went a little too far in depth. But overall, this is still the story of his life. So I guess that would fit in there. So, overall, though, I'd say that I had a lot of fun reading this book. And I definitely would recommend this to people, but you want to make sure that you are a fan of The Office and you want to learn about Rainn Wilson, because you want to be a fan of The Office to learn about stuff from The Office, but you want to know more about Rainn Wilson because a good majority of the book, about like 80% of the book, is about who Rainn Wilson is in his life, or 85% of the book. So that's why you want to know who he is as a person. But if you want those things, I would definitely recommend it because I had a great time reading this. If you guys have any comments, questions, disagreements, anything like that, please post it in the comments section below. I hope you guys click the subscribe button, as I always upload many different book reviews throughout the month. But thank you for watching my book review. This is Mr. V. Go enjoy your reading.